What's up, all you goofy goobers? So, you think you know SpongeBob Squarepants? Kids everywhere identify with SpongeBob due to his sense of wonder, his happy-go-lucky attitude, his endearing naivete, his childlike innocence, and his determination to just enjoy being a kid. Although that last part is pretty weird considering SpongeBob is literally a senior citizen. That's right, viewers, you heard me correctly. SpongeBob Squarepants is actually an old man. Don't believe me? Well, let's make like Plankton going after the secret formula and try to steal your childhood. Oh, and of course, spoilers ahead for both the SpongeBob movie and the TV show. First, let's get a few things out of the way. Some viewers are no doubt already thinking of SpongeBob's driver's license, which in one episode states his date of birth to be in 1986, which would make him only 35 as of the time of this video, and only 13 at the time the first episode aired. However, that shot of his license comes from a dream sequence, and as such, we can't trust any information on it that can't be verified through other means. What's more, this is the only time when SpongeBob's license is shown to have a date of birth at all. There are multiple other episodes where we're shown his license outside of a dream sequence, and they all have no legible date. The fact that every non-dream appearance of his license does not feature a date of birth tells us all we need to know about that date's authenticity. So then, how do we know how old he is? Simple, my friends, with math. In the second scene of the SpongeBob movie, SpongeBob makes reference to his, quote, wall of 374 consecutive Employee of the Month awards. So we know SpongeBob is working at the Krusty Krab and getting the award for 374 months in a row without missing a single month. There's 12 months in a year, so 374 months is over 31 years. 31 years and 2 months to be exact. That means SpongeBob has been working and getting this award at the Krusty Krab for over 3 decades straight at the very least. But wait, he said 374 consecutive months. That means 374 months in a row without ever missing one. In the Season 1 episode simply titled Employee of the Month, SpongeBob and Squidward sabotage and try to outcompete each other to win the award. In this episode, SpongeBob says he's won the award 26 times in a row and it'll be 27 tomorrow. But then at the end of the episode, SpongeBob doesn't win the award. That means this streak of 26 consecutive wins is separate from the streak of 374 consecutive wins he mentions in the movie. In other words, these 26 months aren't included in the 374 months we already counted. 26 months of winning the award plus 1 month of losing it is 27 months total, or 2 years and 3 months. So if we add that to the 31 years and 2 months from the movie, that makes 401 months, or 34 years 5 months. That SpongeBob is working at the Krusty Krab at the very least. Next, we have Season 5, Episode 7B, A Breath of Fresh Squidward, where SpongeBob loses the Employee of the Month award after Squidward receives an electric shock and becomes super nice, thus bringing another consecutive streak to an end and making it separate from the ones we've already counted. Now, when referring to how many consecutive months SpongeBob has won the award at that time, Squidward says that SpongeBob has won the award a gazillion times, and SpongeBob quickly corrects him, saying that he's actually won it a gazillion and 6 times. Now, obviously, those are not real numbers, so we can't use them, but we do get a shot of the Employee of the Month award wall in this scene, and it's got 44 awards visible on it. It's possible that there are more awards and this is just all that's displayed at one time, but we can't say for sure. What we can say for sure is that this represents another consecutive streak of at least 44 months. 44 months plus 1 month for this month where SpongeBob loses the award makes 45 months, or 3 years, 9 months. Add that to our previous tally and we've got a grand total of 446 months, or 37 years, 2 months. There's also Season 5, Episode 2A, the original Fry Cook. This episode takes place before A Breath of Fresh Squidward and shows the Krusty Krab receiving a visit from Jim, the fry cook who held the position before SpongeBob. In this episode, we again see a wall of Employee of the Month awards, but this one is in the dining room of the Krusty Krab, whereas the one we see in A Breath of Fresh Squidward is inside the kitchen. This one also has 45 awards instead of 44. During this episode, Mr. Krabs knocks down all of SpongeBob's awards, destroying them. The fact that the awards are destroyed, coupled with the fact that the next time we see them in A Breath of Fresh Squidward, they're located in the kitchen rather than the dining room, implies that these 45 awards could be separate from the 44 awards we see in Episode 7B. However, given that we're never expressly told that SpongeBob breaks his streak in between the two, we can't be sure. So we'll keep these 45 on hand as a sort of optional, if you want to count it, sort of total. So if you count the awards seen in the original Fry Cook as separate, that's a total of 491 months, or 40 years, 11 months. If you don't count them, it's 446 months, or 37 years, 2 months. So then, SpongeBob is either 37 or 40? That's kind of close to what his dream sequence license said, so it'd make sense. But wait, SpongeBob didn't start working at the Krusty Krab when he was 1 year old. Based on everything we see in the very first episode where he gets hired at the the Krusty Krab, SpongeBob must be at least 18 years old at the start of the series. He's no longer living with his parents, he owns his own house, and he gets a full-time job, all of which are things that aren't possible for anyone under 18. Also, he's been trying to get his boating license for several years already at the start of the show, and since the youngest you can start trying to get a license is 16, this also fits with him being over 18 at the beginning. Now, some of you are probably thinking, well yeah, those things are true for the real world, but who says Bikini Bottom operates under the same laws? Maybe sea creatures can get jobs at the age of 5, or maybe sponges are considered adults at a different age. And to that I say, unlikely. Pretty much everything we see of undersea society tells us that it's just an undersea copy and paste of real world society. For instance, Pearl is 16 and she's in high school, and during the summer she's only allowed to get a part-time job at the Krusty Krab because she's a minor. There's numerous mentions of overtime and other labor laws, not to mention food safety laws, that clearly mirror those of the real world. What's more, even though various sea creatures can have vastly different lifespans in real life, they're all clearly anthropomorphized to match human aging. For instance, Mr. Krabs is stated to be in his 70s and is considered to be an old man. In real life, crabs can only live a few decades at most. What's more, real-world plankton only live a single day, yet we're shown that Plankton and Mr. Krabs are the same age and even went to school together. Squids only live 3 to 5 years on average, but Squidward is clearly much older than that, especially since he's been working at the Krusty Krab since before SpongeBob started there, so he'd have to be at least as old as SpongeBob. So yeah, I think it's pretty clear that the show heavily anthropomorphized the sea creatures to sort of human standard of aging, and Bikini Bottom's society is just an undersea version of real-world rules for the most part. So then, SpongeBob has to be at least 18 when he starts work at the Krusty Krab, and then, as of the events of the movie, he's been working there for well over 37 years at the absolute minimum, or just barely under 41 years if you count the awards from the original Fry Cook. So either 18 plus 37 or 18 plus 41, depending on how you count it. This gives us a result of either 55 or 59 years old. So SpongeBob is at least a 55-year-old man as of the events of the movie, if not significantly older. And again, this is as of the events of the movie. The movie came out in 2004, so if he was 55 at that point, then by now, in 2021, he'd be 72. And if we go with a higher age calculation, counting the awards from the original Fry Cook, he'd be 76. And yet the entire plot of the movie is all about him being just a kid. Mr. Krabs tells him he isn't cut out to be manager because he's just a kid, and to be manager, you have to be a man. King Neptune tells SpongeBob there's no way he can get the royal crown back because he's just a kid. Dennis constantly refers to SpongeBob as a kid while stalking him. Mindy tells SpongeBob and Patrick that she'll have to turn them into men. No, not in that way, get your mind out of the gutter, you pervert, this is a kid show. Because there's no way a couple of kids could ever complete this journey. Plankton says SpongeBob never had a chance to defeat him because Plankton's an evil genius, and SpongeBob is just a kid. SpongeBob gives an entire impassioned speech at the very end about accepting that he's just a kid, and yet that kid is old enough to be somebody's great-grandfather. Kinda puts all his wacky antics and childish behavior in a whole new light, doesn't it? Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing so you can be sure to catch my next video, and hit the bell so you can actually be sure to catch it. Want more like this? Check out one of my previous videos on the Zelda timeline or on why the ending of Death Note is a fake. Anyway, this has been So You Think You Know, and now you do know.